Computer. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's telling us we are live, so let's just give everyone a few minutes to find the live link. Let's go that open. Okay, great. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to a new Reader's Warehouse Recommends. I'm Thomas from Reader's Warehouse, and we are live every Monday at 12 o'clock talking about books and book recommendations. Either we talk about children or adult books, and this week we are talking about exciting new adult fiction and non-fiction that's going to be available at your nearest Reader's Warehouse. Joining us today, we have three wonderful people from the publishing industry. We have Sine Rappel from Blue Weaver Sales and Marketing. Welcome back. We have Julie Jones joining us from Jonathan Ball Publishers. Thank you, Julie. And we have Francis Thorndike joining us from Macmillan South Africa. So thank you all for coming on today. How it's going to work is we're doing 3 rounds of book recommendations, and in each round, one of these wonderful people are going to highlight a book for us, and we'll link each title in the description, in the comment section, the title, author, and link to our website. And at the end, I'm just going to highlight our top 10 best-selling adult titles for the past 2 weeks at Reader's Warehouse. So if you like, we can always go. Francis, if you want to go first, then we can go Julie, and then Sine. So Francis, over to you for your first title.
When I've got across the spectrum books, but I have to start with the RASSIE, which launched on Saturday in English and Afrikaans. I hope you saw front page of Sunday Times in Report as well. This is such a good book. It is so true to RASSIE. You feel like you're actually talking to the man with all his swear words and his idiosyncrasies. But let me just fill you in a little bit if you don't know who RASSIE is. He played for the Cheetahs, and he played for the Stormers, and so on and so on. And then he became a Springbok, and then he became a coach, and now he's part of the whole rugby entourage, part of the sort of high up echelon looking over sort of all the policies regarding rugby. But this takes you right back to a boy growing up in a small Eastern Cape town of Dispatch, you know, where there's literally like one movie house, one spur, you know. So when he played for the Cheetahs, they all sort of get together and then when he moved down to play for the Stormers, he was amazed that after a match it was just everyone went in their own separate directions, you know, and sort of like the Afrikaans kids hang together and the Muslim kids hung together, and it was a much different kind of world to growing up in the Eastern Cape. And then he goes on to describe how he sort of bought his own laptop with his own money. He was one of the first, I think, a real front runner in the sort of strategy when it comes around rugby. So when everybody else was having a good time in the various hotels, he'd be sitting replaying the videos of the opposition teams, making copious notes on what to do, what not to do. So he really was a forerunner, and he definitely thought sort of out of the box. I'll just give you one other more anecdote. I can waylay you with millions more. I mean, this book is really full of them, and it's really well worth the read. But the one that I loved is part of his strategies. He sort of set up this system of colors to show the players sort of what he wanted them to do. So he'd hold up a red cone if you wanted them to kick, or a green cone if you wanted them to like scrum. And these eventually, you know, were translated into paddles. He'd hold up different colored paddles, and then eventually he had lights which he would actually shine from his coaching box.
Wow.
So, you know, so when the Cheetahs were playing the Bulls, they'd look up and they'd see a red light from RASSIE, which means like scrum or whatever. But at one match, the Bulls changed the light bulbs around. So he was flashing things, and the players were sort of going, what the heck does that mean? You know? So, and they all took it in such a good cheer, you know. So it's a really, if you love rugby, he's passionate about it, and he's such an introvert. He's such a shy guy. And the last thing I want to say is, don't ever give RASSIE a fruit basket. He's got an absolute paranoia about fruit for some bizarre reason. So well worth the read for the men in your life and the women.
Yeah, it looks like it's like really like well put together. You know, it's not leaving anything.
It just reads so well. talking to him.
Oh, wow. And we were lucky that Pan Macmillan gave us some signed bookplates. So we'll be having some signed bookplated copies available very soon, that you can pre-order them still on our website at the moment. So thank you so much for that. And I know my brother was telling me on the weekend that there were extracts all over social media, like on all the news sites. So people are learning about this book. So I think it's really one for anyone, like you're saying, who loves rugby. This is a book to get. Perfect. All right. Thanks, Francis. Great. Okay, Julie, over to you for your first title.
Okay, I am just sharing my screen quickly. I am talking mainly about, well, I'm speaking about some fiction today. Here we go. So we're starting off with the new one from Sheila O'Flanagan. She is really, if you have a book club, even if you don't, if you just enjoy this kind of fiction, she is really, really a fantastic author. For the women's fiction market, we have some really great reviews always for her. You'll see at the bottom of my slide, Marion Keyes is a fan, Kathy Kelly, Veronica Henry, Patricia Scanlan. So some really well-respected authors in this genre. Here we have a story that is inspired by Sheila's grandmother's story in Ireland in the 1920s. And this was a time in Ireland where the war for independence was happening, for freedom. And we had in this story 2 young people from different sides falling in love. Winnie O'Leary, who supports the cause, but doesn't really want to get involved. And she one day meets rebel Joseph Burke, who breaks a window, and she's livid about this. But of course, love comes when you least expect it. His family shelters fugitives and smuggles weapons, and his sisters and mother are pressing him to get Winnie to commit to joining in the fight. But she obviously has this really difficult choice of what to do, to go into danger, to go against her family, to choose him, or wait for peace. So it's a really moving, courageous story. There's love, there's heartbreak, and that will appeal to her fans. I don't think she's done anything historical like this before. I could be wrong.
That is true. That's true. Yeah.
I think it will appeal. Yeah, I think it will appeal to those fans that she's had all along, and some new readers as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I love the cover, and I think it's a first historical novel, and yeah, I think it's perfect for book clubs as well. It's a great title.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Julie. Okay, Sine, over to you for your first title.
Thanks so much. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, so I have some very exciting local titles to tell everybody about today. Yeah. Starting off with Tales of an African Vet, brought to us by Roy Aronson. So Roy is very well known in the vet community locally. He's worked with both wildlife and as well as our beloved pets that we have at home. So in his more than 25 years as an African vet, Roy has seen and done some remarkable things. Like he has tracked lions and cheetahs, anesthetized rhinos and king cobras, collared rogue elephants, and performed eye surgery on a lion out in the bush. And that is just to name a few of the very impressive things he has managed to do. He's also worked with some very dedicated conservationists, and their stories and what they have achieved is very inspiring, definitely worth to read. He also talks about how their passion has inspired him and how brave these people are to do what they are doing. So the story really brings together Dr. Aronson's adventures, and is a rare behind-the-scenes look at those who treat wild animals in their own habitat. Roy has also done radio and television programs in the past, speaking about his work and how to take care of our animals. So definitely a great read for anybody interested in conservation, wildlife, and looking for a gripping true story from a local, a bit of a local legend. So yeah, so that is Tales of an African Vet.
Yeah, and these type of books always do so well, and I'm so exciting to have this one. I mean, I'm sure it'll sell right now all the way up to Christmas time. People will be, it's such a great title. So thanks so much, Sinead, for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. All right, Francis, over to you for your second title.
Okay, and now for something completely different. So I'm going to do Fake Dates and Mooncakes by LEWE, and this is her first book. I think it's going to be one of many, and that she has corgis at home, and that's one of her corgis on the front cover, which is, I love learning stuff like that. So this is a kind of a book talkie feel, I would say an adult YA crossover. I mean, anyone who believes in love can really enjoy it, and it appeals to foodies too. So it's about a guy called Dylan Tang who's going to college, and he's helping out at his aunt's Chinese takeaway in Brooklyn, New York, and it's kind of battling a bit. And he gets this phone call from his aunt to say, please come around, pick up this takeaway, deliver it to this, you know, high-rise penthouse apartment, which he does. And the guy who opens the door is, you know, gorgeous in his boxers, takes the, you know, quite rudely sort of takes the takeout, and then opens it up and notices that it's got something in there that he didn't order. Says, you know, this is just unacceptable, and I'm going to just now give the restaurant a really bad review and take it away. I don't want, you know, anything to do with you. And then his partner comes down to the restaurant the following day and apologizes and has some of the food. And they kind of, there's a frisson between them. There's a little bit of a spark, and he's really nice, but he's obviously going out with an absolute a-hole. And you know, the sort of spark develops all very innocently. I mean, like the guy has a boyfriend. And then, of course, there's that whole fake date to an event scenario that Book Talk loves so much. That whole, like, I'm going to this really upmarket marketing party, and my partner's out of town. Won't you go with me? And of course, they do, and they fall in love. So all of those things are pretty predictable. But I think what makes it special is the references to food throughout, like the mooncakes. It's a traditional Chinese pastry that they serve during the Mid-Autumn Festival, and it's got things like crushed lotus flour in there, which is amazing. I mean, I'd love to eat something with a bit of lotus flour in it. So you pick up all these different Chinese delicacies, which he describes making beautifully, interwoven with this, you know, we're not dating, but we are scenario. It's a great fun read.
Yeah, when I saw in the UK, they were talking about this book when I was there for the book fair, and they're all raving about it, how, you know, it's so well written, and, you know, with the whole fake dating trope, you know, how people love that so much. And then I think the food that they talk about, I think it just amplifies the story even more, you know, for you to enjoy it.
It gives it a whole different layer.
Yeah. Okay, that's wonderful. Thanks so much, Francis, for that title. All right, Julie, over to you for your second title.
Okay, here I go. The next one is a bit of a different one. Death of a Bookseller by Alice Slater. It's a debut, and it's very green, I know, but yeah, a really fun one. Dark, very dark, but comic as well. The author, Alice Slater, actually worked as a bookseller at Waterston, so she has some insight into that world, although hopefully nobody ever died when she was around. I can't comment, I don't know. But here we have our main character is Roach. She's a bookseller. She's a loner. She's obsessed with true crime, and it's just very, very not interested in helping, making friends, or really in helping the really boring customers that come into her bookshop that she's worked in for her whole life. All of a sudden, a new bookseller arrives. She's a children's bookseller. Her name is Laura. She is all sunshine and rainbows and cute tote bags and poetry. And she just seems the complete opposite to Roach, who is, I forgot to mention, quite happy with her, serial killer books, murder podcasts, and her pet snail, who makes quite a few appearances in the book. Roach, however, senses a darkness in Laura, and possibly a shared darkness. She's not sure, and she gets this interest soon, and curiosity soon turns into an obsession. And she's prepared to infiltrate Laura's life at any cost. It's, again, getting really amazing reviews from various authors. Will Dean calls it engrossing, atmospheric, and deliciously dark. Catriona Award calls it a dark masterpiece. It'll work its way under your skin like a splinter and stay there. It's impossible to put down. It should be really exciting, I think. I've been seeing some really amazing reviews on Goodreads, etc. as well.
What did you say, Francis?
I want it.
Well, Thomas says it's in the store at the moment.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And I think it's also another great book club title where,
Yes.
maybe you'll be very surprised at the twisted ending, and then you just want your friends or book club members to read it as well, so you can talk about it,
Yeah, and I think it's the kind of book that will promote discussion, because it's, the whole true crime thing. Are we being extremely voyeuristic looking at these stories, at the true crime stories? Are these not, who do these stories belong to? Do the victims deserve better than us ogling over their tragedies? I don't know. So I think it'll promote discussion as well. And it would be great for a book club setting.
Perfect, wonderful. Thanks so much, Julie. All right, okay, Sine, over to you for your second title.
Hey, thank you. So we are very excited about this next title. We have I Write the Yawning Void, the selected essays of Sandiwe Mangoma. So Sandiwe is such a well-known writer, very accomplished, well-respected in the academic community. She's won so many awards and is just a wonderful person overall. Amazing to listen to. I was recently at one of the launches of this book, and the crowd just hangs on every word she says, and it would be the same, definitely the same with her writing. So this is a collection of essays that Sandiwe has written across her life so far, and that highlights her engagement with her writing, spans the transition from apartheid to the post-apartheid period, and addresses many different themes that are still relevant today, such as HIV/AIDS, language and culture, home, and belonging. And they bring to life her many facets of her personal history, as well as her deepest convictions, her love for the country, and despair at the problems that continue to plague it. And that is really the thing about her writing. It's almost like holding up a mirror to the current situation in our country, but she's also so hopeful, and you really feel inspired to get behind her and help to make a change. So that is definitely a running theme throughout. They also demonstrate her mastery of the essay as a format, something she was never that confident about in her writing. She's written so many books, autobiographies, children's books, short stories, but the essay was never her main format. But in this book, she definitely shows that she's mastered that as well. And they also serve as a meaningful supplement to her previous fiction work. So if you have read her previous work before, you definitely get more insight in this one. So we are so excited about this one. It's available now it was also selected as the News 24 Book of the Month for last month, for July. So that was also very exciting and definitely well deserved. So yeah, we hope everybody will find something to love in this title.
No, she really is like a South African like jewel, you know, in literacy. And I mean, her children's books have won awards, and we love selling her children's books. And for us personally, those have sold the best for us. But yeah, it's wonderful to have this new title from her.
Yeah, definitely. We personally in the office love it, and we hope everyone will too.
Great, thank you so much. All right, we're on to the final round. Can you believe it? So Frances, over to you for your final title.
Okay, I'm going to go out on a more sobering note. I want to talk about Hidden Genius. I can't pronounce her name, so forgive me. I'll just call her Paulina. She edits the Profile, which is an online newsletter. So she's interviewed, I mean, internationally, but she's based in America, and she's interviewed anyone who's anything in commerce, in entertainment, like Beyonce, you know, Zuckerberg. She's done the whole gamut, and she's distilled in this book under different headings about toughness, creative potential, healthy relationships, how to make better stories, how to be an effective leader, you know, all of that kind of, and ending with discovering your own hidden genius, which I think is really cool. So these are different chapters featuring different people, like Beyonce talks about in toughness and resilience, which I thought should be in creativity. But she talks about how she's an introvert and how it's really hard for her to get out in front of people. So she's created this persona for herself that she becomes when she's performing. So how she kind of pulled that together. Different business people that have their own kind of like little quotes that they stick on a mirror and say to themselves. So each chapter is wonderful, and that is broken down into different quotes. I don't know if you can see. Really nice and accessible. So this is something I think not just for the dry and dusty business section, it's something that we can all dip into, and doesn't matter if your interest is in music, creativity, becoming a better storyteller, becoming a better podcaster, whatever. There's something in here for everyone. And she sums it all up really, really well in that chapter that's aimed at the reader themselves. So I think this is a great addition to any kind of businessy or non-fiction read out there.
Almost like self-help, but more like almost like a motivational type book, because it gives you like, you know,
motivational business, creativity. It's yeah, you can really dip in and out anywhere. It's very good.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, well, thank you so much, Frances, for that title. All right, Julie, over to you for your final title.
Okay, a last one from me is perhaps a bit lighter. It is Honey and Spice. Oops, sorry, there you go. Honey and Spice, which is a rom-com. This is actually a paperback edition, so the bigger format has been out before. The trade paperback has been available already with a bit of a different jacket. So if you bought it previously, don't get a surprise or get confused by the different jacket and buy it again. Although you could give it to someone, I'm sure they would love it. This actually is it is a book talk book. We heard Frances talking about book talk and fake dating earlier, and that all applies to this one as well. It has actually been shortlisted on the Book Talk Awards at the moment as a Book Talk Book of the Year. It was also chosen by Reese Witherspoon as one of her book club picks. So quite a broad target market, I think, not just you know, people on TikTok, which is not all of us, I admit. But yeah, we have a young woman who is at a university, Whitewell University, and she is very, very anti-romance relationship. She has a radio show called Brown Sugar that she tries to help the women of Whitewell University avoid the dangers of players' heartbreak, and basically helping them to pay men no mind. However, of course, things don't go according to plan. She meets a distressingly handsome newcomer, Malachi, and the women of the university are just completely enamored with him. She declares him the waste man of Whitewell on Brown Sugar Radio, which gives him a quite bad reputation. But then things, of course, go a little bit awry, and they have to find themselves she and Malachi find themselves in a fake relationship to get their reputations back on track. And of course, she thinks this is going to be terrible, but it obviously isn't. She has to open herself up to the perils of love and find a new way of living. It's a story with tension, romantic intrigue. It's really vibrant characters, and it's also quite sexy. So maybe not for the YA readers, although I know a lot of teenagers do read these kind of books. I would say probably still more adult if you are in charge of buying the book. Yeah, so that's Honey and Spice.
Yeah, I know Samantha from your side, from John the Ball, she raves about this book whenever she gets the chance to. She loves this book so much. And just you describing it, it almost reminds me, like with Francis's Mooncakes book, these are perfect like Netflix movies, adaptations one day.
Absolutely.
So if you like, if you have a reader in their 20s or 30s that love reading like or watching Netflix rom-coms, this is like these are the perfect type of books just to like jump into, and you'll feel like you're watching a movie. So, yeah. And then I'm sure after reading it, you could go online and there's probably already people deciding who should play who, those type of things,
I'm sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect, wonderful. Thanks so much, Julie, for that. All right, Sine, over to you for your final title.
Okay, thank you. So we next have a title that might not make a Netflix rom-com, but it might make a very good Netflix documentary. So this is Bottled, How Coca-Cola Became African by Sarah Biala. And she is South African born, currently splitting her time between the UK and South Africa, but she definitely has the background to give such interesting insights into how Coca-Cola became a continent-wide African company. So we know that you can travel to almost any country in Africa and you can find pretty easily an ice-cold Coca-Cola. And this is the story of how that happened, how Coca-Cola became so ubiquitous across the whole continent. Sarah researched this book so well, diving into company archives, finding some documents that haven't seen the light of day in many years. So this is such a very interesting read for anybody interested in business, in the state of capitalism and marketing at the moment. But it's also such an approachable and engaging read, and not written in any highly academic way that would put the casual reader off. So we look at how Coca-Cola has been involved in Africa for centuries, from anything from recycling and education to even the anti-apartheid struggle, and how Africans have harnessed Coca-Cola in so many different ways to make it their own, so that the company not only became African, but how it bends consumer power in different ways, big and small. So a very interesting, engaging read. There's also some beautiful archival photographs that are a wonder to see that Sarah uncovered. So definitely a must on anybody's bookshelf. And we are also having a launch for this title in Cape Town this coming Sunday at Obs Books in Observatory. So we would love for anybody interested to come and join us for a discussion with Sarah.
Oh, exciting. Yeah, when I looked online, there were like 3 amazing reviews for this book, like that stood out. And there was just talking about how, like in the book, that she talks about different, like each different like country and what they did. You know, it wasn't like the same thing worked in every country to make it the preferred drink that everyone will drink type of thing. You know, and so I think that's really great how she would talk about like what Ghana did or what Nigeria did and things like that, and what Coca-Cola did to make sure that they were like the #1, you know, product that people would want to buy to drink something.
Exactly, yeah. And Sarah did go into these different countries for research. She did field work there to write this book. So it's very, very updated, very grounded. So yeah, we are very excited about this one as well.
Great, thank you. Well, perfect, Sinead. Thanks so much for ending the 3rd round with that exciting title. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly just highlight our top selling books for the past 2 weeks at Reader's Warehouse. These are the adult titles. So 10 to 6 is just Atomic Habit, which has just been, you know, a huge seller in South Africa. The new Pip Williams title, the Honor Durator, the new Leslie Pierce, and then number 6 is the latest Car and Slaughter. And then our 5th best-selling book was a book I was just mentioning to Julie about. We are sold out on this title, but when we had it, it just flew. The Rebecca Yarros title, Fourth Wind. We are waiting on more stock, but when we did have it, it reached number 5 in our bestsellers at the moment. The number 4 is the Lucinda Riley and Harry Whittaker title, Atlas, The Story of Parcel, still selling extremely well. I think everyone who has read it has really given it like 5 stars, really a wonderful way to end the Seven Sisters series. Number 3 is also a firm favorite, Kristen Hanna's Another Life. Also wonderful book clubs, huge selling author for us. This was a standalone title we got in recently. Number 2 is the latest Daniel Silver title, The Collector. This came up very recently, filled with thrills, spies, and art heist. This is the 23rd book in his Gabriel Allon series, fast-paced, part thriller, part mystery. And then number 1 is The Covenant of Water, the Abraham Verghese title. You know, people have been buying this, loving it. The reviews from Oprah to everywhere you look online, the reviews have been really fantastic for that book. And so it's great. If you haven't got your copy, you can get yours at your Reader's Warehouse. So that is it for this week. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to our 3 lovely sales representatives for joining us today. We'll be back next Monday to talk about children's books. But until then, have a great reading week, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Keep well. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.